Okay, I just want to explain something. And the reason that I can explain this is because I'm an expert. I grew up in a conservative Neocon family. Uh, my dad was a farm boy who immediately joined the army because I guess he couldn't get a job doing anything, and he clawed his way to the top doing nasty things for the neocons. I mean, I can't tell you exactly how nasty because I don't know how deeply he was involved with some of the things that happened. But suffice to say, I was exposed to their philosophy constantly in an attempt to turn me in to what they wanted me to be. That's why they tried to send me to Oxford and Harvard, because those are the schools they wanted on my resume, so that they were hoping I was going to be just like my dad, except for highly educated with the big, So, let me explain something to you about this thing. It says right here, McConnell sets key procedural vote for Kavanaugh nomination. So let me explain something to you about why they want Kavanaugh and people like him so badly. Okay, everybody thinks, oh, they want him in there. And to an extent they're right. Like for to vote down Roe versus Wade, which I don't think he could even do, even if he was on the bench. Of course, I didn't think they could pass Citizens United either. But the reason is far more insidious than just what he might do in certain instances. The reason for them wanting this guy in is the same reason why the whole system, like the economic system, is full of bosses that are shitheads and cops who kill people and intimidate and harass and brutalize people. It's because they have this basic philosophy, a simple basic philosophy, and I used to hear this constantly from them, from my parents and from people around my parents, their friends, and that is that they firmly believe that you need an asshole to get things done. So you need to hire assholes to be the bosses of people who are willing to do what probably are mostly illegal things, I mean, I don't think you're legally allowed to be verbally abusive and threatening to your employees. But that's what they believe. The neocon types, the people, I can't give you an exact percentage of how many of American citizens are these people, but they're for sure probably 20 or 30% of the top, and right on down to like 50 or 60% of the population most definitely goes along with all this, right? This idea of all these ideas, this philosophy of capitalism and you know how you have to be bad to make things work, which is the old the ends justifies the means argument. So, oh, I can do all the bad things I want to do because things turn out better than they would turn out if I didn't do those bad things. Now, you know, that would be a wonderful philosophy if it were true. But the fact is they don't work out better than they would have if you had just done it in a better way. You're just saying that. It works out better for you, just in terms of greed. So, you know, I mean, a lot of these people aren't even getting rich off of this philosophy. But they may be a little better off than, you know, the other 40%. I mean, it turns out that there's kind of a formula to all this. You can have like 40% of the population as a slave kind of population by getting 60% to just totally work against them. And in a democracy, 60% will do it. So, as a matter of fact, 60% is what you need in the Congress to have a majority. I mean, to push things through. I forget exactly where that comes in, but I've heard that 60% in when voting in Congress quite a few times. And they're doing it. I mean, I'm a Democrat, and the way that they're winning, even if they have a majority in the Senate and in the House, in Congress, it's hard to get that 60%. But like with the spending bill for putting, what, 700 and something billion dollars into the military, which is just a way of transferring wealth to the rich, because the rich all own the military contractors and the, you know, build the bombs and the atomic bombs and the jets and the tanks and everything. So that's just moving money into the ultra wealthy and wealthy's pockets, and the people who support them, you know, technically. So you can take my word on it. I mean, I grew up with these people, and technically I'm still one of them. I just haven't gotten my inheritance yet. But when I do, I will be sitting on a pile of blood money. Because to me, pretty much everybody in the United States who's got a lot of money got it by participating in that philosophy. I mean, by taking that money when my mom dies. And I'm not saying I didn't earn some of it. There were times when, when I was a kid, by being dragged around the world with my dad, I participated. I didn't know I did, but you know, when I introduced my parents to my friends' parents, I was introducing them unwittingly to very powerful people who, in the end, the relationship between my parents and their parents became very valuable. Like when I introduced my mom and dad to Elie Salem in Lebanon, and his wife. His wife was American. I mean, he was a very influential guy who eventually ended up being the like interior minister or something in Lebanon. But even before that, when I knew him, I was best friends with his kids. So you see, I mean, all the stuff, it just, you end up participating, and you end up participating whether you like it or not. I mean, you can't get up in the morning and not think about where you're going to have breakfast. So right there, or pay the rent or whatever. You're just part of it. And the only way for us to, I don't know how to describe it, get good with God, they say, and even though I don't believe in, the same God as other people. Yeah, I do believe in God, but you'll have to watch another video sometime to understand that. It's nothing like a Christian God or anything like that. And it's not a person, it doesn't work that way. So, the only way to get your life together would be to somehow, I guess move to Venezuela or Cuba or something. The people are right when they say to you, well, if you love it so much, then why didn't you just move to Cuba? Well, they're right in the sense that, that would be a way for you to get clean, kind of like in that movie Glory when Denzel Washington says, would just like to get clean. Well, you can't. You can't. The only way to get clean is something that's so hard to do and so probably won't happen in my lifetime, and that is to completely change the system so that you're no longer in a system that kicks Palestinians out of Palestine, murders journalists and labor leaders in Colombia. Once you're out of that system, or once you've changed that system so that it doesn't support all the brutality, blood, and murder, then you would be clean. And no, I don't see it happening, because evil is going to take a long time to root out and throw out into the sun, where it will shrivel and die.